Welcome to another episode of BootUP. This episode, we're focusing on gaming startups, gaming companies, and we're streaming out of the San Francisco loft, or not loft, but Twitch offices here in San Francisco. And during this week is also the Game Developer Conference, which is the largest gaming industry conference in the world, 28,000 attendees. So there are startups and companies coming from all around the world to meet and mingle, and we've got the opportunity to capture two of these companies here today and chat about the companies they're building and how they're doing it in this space. I'm Mackenzie, and let's go around. We'll do introductions and find out who's here today.
I'm Nikki. I'm the co-host for BootUP every single week.
I'm Olivier. I'm the CEO of BlackNut.
I'm Christian. I'm one of the founders and CEO of IGDB.
I'm Tyler, and I'm the Chief Business Officer at IGDB.
I guess let's start off with what each of your companies does. So going back around this way, IGDB, what are you guys building?
Yeah, so we're on a mission to gather all relevant information and data about gaming and make that information available for both consumers and the industry through our B2B products. So we collect data and make that data available.
So what type of information are you gathering about these games?
So right now, most of our information is product data, like game titles.
So similar to like IMDb for movies,
Yeah.
IGDB for games.
Yes, exactly. So,
And how far does your history go back of games?
I think our earliest game is from 1940? No, 50?
Wow.
Yeah. We have an internal motto like no game left behind. So we want to, gather all games on all platforms from all times.
So Atari ET is on there.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
All the games.
Yeah, all the games. Yeah.
And you're based in Sweden?
So we're based in Sweden, but we have a remote team. So Tyler is,
Yeah, so I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I work remote from there.
Yeah, and we have a guy, we have people
Someone
in
in Spain.
and we have even a guy living the van life, right?
Yeah.
Traveling Europe, and so we're kind of remote.
Excellent. And Olivier, BlackNut, tell us about the company, what it is you're building in Paris.
So to make it short, what we do is basically Netflix for games, right? So we source a large catalog of games. We have about 250 games. So it's a curated catalog. We don't take any games. So we do left some games behind, actually.
Yeah.
And we provide these games in a streaming manner, right? So from the cloud on all the different devices, meaning PC, mobile, TV.
So you don't have to pay for each game. Once you've paid for a subscription, you can stream any
Absolutely.
game.
So it's a subscription-based service. We have basically an offering, entry point offering at €9.99, and we have a more advanced offering at €15.
And so who's your target audience for that? Because it's a curated list of games.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do target the general public, families, I think we want to bring back the games to what we think it was meant for, so to bring entertainment, so to bring, joy, excitement, discovery, competition, all these kind of new things, as opposed to just trying to steal money out of the kids' pocket, right? So that's what we do. So it's really, family-centric. We don't as well target hardcore gamers that I think are very well served with
the hardcore
gamers.
gamers.
Yeah. Well, I think they have their own machines, their own hardware. They're enjoying all these kind of things. It's part of their experience, by the way. For our audience, they actually prefer to have easy to access and easy to discover games rather than tuning their home machine and having fun in changing, the RAM. every
So you can use
month,
any regular computer to play BlackNut
Yeah,
games.
that's the beauty of the cloud, right? I think all the computing power is on the cloud, and we actually can access the service through even, lower entry PC, cheap mobile phones, TV sets, that are not very powerful. So any kind of screen that can play video, we can access them.
And globally, anybody can sign on and play.
Absolutely. So again, here, this is the beauty of the cloud. If you have a cloud infrastructure, which is global, you can build a service that from day one is going to be
Accessible in all regions.
Scalable, global, secure, and also at a price that allows you to run your business.
Yeah. I want to remind people that you're able to ask questions all throughout this chat, so you don't have to wait to the end to start doing Q&A. So if something pops up in your mind, please throw a question towards us in the chat, and we're interested to know what you're thinking and what you want to know. And you mentioned that you focus on this one niche, and that's kind of interesting. Do you see a trend in terms of more niche gaming marketplaces and delivery platforms emerging? And like, what's causing that trend in that direction?
Yeah, I think that there is, I mean, this niche is for sure underserved, right? I think the gaming industry, as you know, is very big, is growing. I think it's double digit per year. I think it's probably the biggest entertainment, growing industry these days, right? Sure. But we do think that you can call it casual or family market is underserved. And currently what they have is not great games, okay? It's freemium games in general that can be great, but basically the game logic has been made to create an addiction, then to create some frustration, and then basically to tap in the, in the pocket of the kids or the, or the grown-ups too. And we really want to go back to the root of gaming, bringing pleasure, bringing, interest to discover new experiences, new universe. So this is, what we do, right? I do understand that there will be other niche, like the Fortnite kind of niche or the hardcore gamer kind of niche. Yeah. So this is not us, and I'm not sure yet, if the cloud infrastructure is ready actually to support this kind of extreme experience. But for our constituency, I think it's ready, it's here, and that's what we are doing.
Microtransactions, yay or nay?
No way. No way. Exactly. Look, I think the people pay a fee per month to get games. We don't want them to, again, try to steal money for each transaction stuff. And if you want to have the next level, blah, blah. No. You pay this fee, you have a bunch of games. 250 is a big amount. And we are adding games every other week, right? I think it's a couple of games per week even, right?
And I would love a service like that with my daughters.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're going to check it out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you can actually play Fortnite on your side, but I think when you play with younger kids, maybe you want to discover with them and have pleasure of gaming on different universe, different experience, and that's what we bring.
What about, you're looking at a lot of data. You're seeing what games are being made, who's working on what.
Yeah.
What are some trends that you're seeing after you analyze this data?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, one trend when it comes to platform distribution or distribution platforms is we are seeing a lot of new platform distribution entering the market. We have this very special circumstances, like take Steam, for instance. They have, for a very long time, dominated the PC distribution market. But we're now seeing that they're starting to slowly lose market shares, and because there are so many new distribution platforms entering the market. And then we see a trend. We see they're either cryptocurrency-based, or streaming-based, or as-a-service-based, or all of the above. So that's a very clear trend. Another trend is that the amount of game titles is continuously increasing for every year as well. So there's more and more games entering the market.
Being created.
Yeah, the production of games and the number of games entering the market is crazy, right?
So discoverability is a real problem. It is a problem for consumers, but it's even more problem for the industry because
for both, even for consumers. I think if you if you look for some games and you have to rely on what is going to pop up on your Apple or Google Store, whatever, right? And then you don't know if you want to find the next game you'd like to play. We think that with the creation and all the data we collect about the user, we can actually help them discover this game. So that's.
Do you guys offer any type of curation in your database of here's what we're finding are the most popular games or the top 10 games?
We do.
Yeah.
We have top lists. We have recommendation algorithms and stuff. But
based on what you like.
Yeah, and based on what you follow as well.
How you're rated.
Oh, so you can follow games inside your database.
Yeah, you can. So one of the ways that people use IGDB a lot is they'll find some interesting games. Some stuff that they like that they want to keep watch on. Maybe they want to see what DLCs come out or any news about them or something like that. So they'll use that. And then we can see, based on that, we can see what's popular just based on follows, and of course anyone can tell you Fortnite is pretty big, right? Or Apex Legends or something, but also you can see for a group of people what's popular, and it's different,
what everybody else likes within that gaming.
because you can get out of the mainstream essentially.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really cool, by the way. I think we just started to build the service with the basic, infrastructure. You access the catalog, you click, you play.
Yeah.
All this, is a wow moment for, a person that has not yet experienced streaming. And now we are starting to build, all the recommendation part and how you find the next game you'd like to play.
Yeah.
So when we started discussing it together, I think that would be really cool to see if we can use
sure.
the data you have and okay, if this person likes this game, maybe she's, is going to like this or this game and these kind of things. So this is data that we start to collect, but we don't have, and probably have a lot, of this kind of data
Exactly.
here.
And we are actually trying to now putting much more effort in centralizing like popularity data.
Yep.
So because we have quite many partners that we are providing data to today.
Yep.
I think we've given over 14,000 projects access to our data.
Wow.
And now we want to start gather data back from them and
Like view it like game time.
yeah.
So
for
we
instance.
have like a partner program with our API right now. It's like a tier to where we can, instead of paying with money, you can pay with like data
back.
essentially. So we have like a partnership where we exchange information. So the goal with that is one of the things that Christian was talking about, like popularity. Like we want to get that from a lot of different sources, like a lot of different mobile apps that are using our data, websites, services, etc. That way we have like a general know of what's popular around all those different sources.
But of course also sliceable. So you don't
Sure.
see
Yep.
these are the top 10
Yep.
games in the world. Like are the top 10 games within adventure RPGs on PlayStation 4 in Romania, right? Drilled down.
Yeah, another trend we've seen with like all the stores popping up, like the Epic Games Store and Uplay and the Origin Store and Steam, is people are starting to use our data and create a launcher. So, when you buy all these games from all these different places, it can be hard. Like, if you just want to look at your whole catalog, like that can be quite tough. So we've noticed, I would say this year already, there's been 10 plus launchers that are launched and ready, and people are using them that are using our data and stuff. And I've noticed from last year, it's just going up. I mean, it might not seem like that much, but as this problem becomes bigger and bigger for gamers, I think that's also going to be a trend. Yeah.
So I have a question. How did you guys get your start, or where did you come up with the idea to create IGDB or BlackNut? Feel free to.
It actually started at a lunch discussion at a previous
A
job.
lunch discussion.
Yeah, we were just the topic was the ultimate gaming website, and we just bounced ideas, and we just IGDB, something a database where the ultimate gaming platform online, and then it was a passion project for a couple of years, where we slowly built a.
How long have you guys been in existence?
I think we started working with IGDB in 2014 as a passion project. Then we gathered a core team. We built a beta platform, and then in 2015 we started a company. Then we were lucky to get investors really early on that allowed us to, starting working full time. Cool story is that back then we were 4 people, all remote. So we had one guy in England, one guy in Belgium, one guy and 2 guys in Sweden. But I don't know if you don't know this, but Sweden is a really tall country, super tall country. And I was based in southern Sweden, and our lead dev was based way north. We call it we used to say that he's from beyond the wall, because it's
Really far.
really far. And then I remember we got from the investor that they wanted to invest in us in December 2015, and in January 2016, everyone had moved to Gothenburg, where we're based, Gothenburg, Sweden, and we set up shop, and we've been working hard ever since.
I mean, there's an enormous gaming scene in Sweden. So do you have gaming-specific investors, or how did you find the right investor that's a good fit for IGDB?
We were very lucky, I would say, because we found this more angel investor really early on, and we just we had a good fit. We just liked each other and shared the visions and everything. Now we've done 3 rounds, so we have actually 4 external investors, but with gaming profile, and that is actually a strategy that we wanted to have in order to kind of build some hype within the gaming industry to get more gaming.
So the investors are known gamers, is what you're saying.
Yeah. Like one of the investors is he has his own gaming company, like both publishing and development. The other one is Goodbye Kansas, and they're really into specialized in game investments. So yeah, this has worked really well for us, and they're great investors.
Olivier, how about you? How about Black
So
Knight?
the story is a bit different, okay? First, my background is engineering, and my first job actually was to work on audio and video coding technology. So I contributed to the MPEG standards, I basically chaired the group in MPEG that creates the MP4 file format and all kind of other standards that were not useful, but this one was actually. And then I created the first startup that was a spin-off from Orange, the French operator. And that was my first experience, first entrepreneurial experience. And long before that, I was gamer as well on probably machine that you don't know. Okay, my first, gaming machine was a TI 994A. Okay, so
Yeah.
it was.
When was this?
It was a long time ago. But it was one of the first console machines, right? I think it was pretty cool, by the way. So when I basically my company was acquired, and I was looking for the next project, and the technology I somehow created, allowed services like Deezer, Spotify, Netflix, and so on to create all the dematerialization of the audio and video industry. And I say, okay, great. I think the next things, is game, right? So has any great idea when you look on, on the internet, you find out that maybe a couple of other companies have tried this, but still the service was not there. At the point, company like OnLive or Gaikai actually did try to do something and did fail, by the way, at that time.
I loved OnLive, by the way.
No, it's a great company. I think great vision. They really made some kind of bold attempt to attack this market and to be, the console in the cloud with a target population of hardcore gamers, with great titles, with ultimate, gaming experience. I think it was really brave, but they failed, right? And the reason they failed at the time, actually, the cloud was not ready, the infrastructure was not ready. They had to build the cloud they need to deliver this kind of service, right? I think you imagine in terms of capex investment, if you want to serve the whole population, and even if you want to just start with, with the US, I think you still have to build the cloud that will sustain the growth, right, and scale. So
Prepared to scale.
So I think it was kind of very hard to do this business, but still, so I built the company on the hashes, of OnLive and Gaikai, and based on all the experiences Guy had. The cloud started to have GPU in it, okay, with AWS, I think was really pioneering the access of GPU in the cloud. The infrastructure in terms of fiber, in terms of high bandwidth connection was actually being more democratized. So I think you have this at least in Europe and US, very high access to high bandwidth. So I decided it was the time to create a company and to do this, and it was back in 2016. So that's how it started.
So it's very rare to see somebody who's gone down the entrepreneurship path and never go back away from it into like another corporate world. I'm curious to know, what was that first push to actually get over the hurdle of building something and knowing that this is for you and I want to keep building more companies?
Well, I think you have something inside of you, right? So I think I've been working in large organizations like Orange, the company that acquired my first company, Amdocs, was also a big corporation. I learned a lot in this corporation, okay? I learned a lot in Orange, basically all the technical aspects. I could do a great engineer, do a lot of stuff, and it was great. And I learned a lot as well in Amdocs, in terms of working with also big organizations like AT&T, like Singtel, and so on and so forth. But at some point in time, what motivates me is a sense of purpose, okay? And this is what actually get you out or get you to your next position. It's basically when you wake up in the morning is, okay, why are you doing this, okay? So the search of the purpose, and this is also what you do when you manage your people, right? It's basically your role as a manager is to build this sense of purpose. So yeah, I think I had to find my next step, and indeed it's in Black Knight that I found it.
Chuck mentions that he used to play a lot of great text-based games on the TI-99. That's a great
Great.
computer.
So probably played Parsec, or there was a Texas Invader, or this kind of thing. That was the first game on this console. It was great. It was cool. I spent actually a lot of time with my sister and brother, in terms of playing these games, and we actually were fighting, to see who is going to be next on the game, and that was really nice, right? But now I think the quality of the game has reached a level where you can actually have people also looking at other people play, and this is what's happening on Twitch and these kind of things, right? So that's great, because when I look at my kid playing, okay, sometimes he brings his friends in the home, and there is maybe 5 to 10 kids, sitting around. Some of them are playing, and some of them are watching, and it's okay, right? I think it's not that they fight to get the controller, right? So that's the kind of experience I want back in BlackNet, right? I want to have people playing together, either in the same room or distantly, having this kind of fun, fighting together, competing, discovering new worlds, new experience, these kind of things.
So there are a lot of highs and lows to running a startup and starting a company.
Oh yeah.
How do you get through the good times, or how do you get through the bad times, and how do you celebrate the good times?
So
And it could be with your favorite video game.
One of the things on this is basically, I often tell this to my people and to the startup I'm coaching, is if you are not happy to receive, every morning the load of, issues that you have to solve as a CEO, then you should not do that job, right? So you have to welcome them with pleasure and say, yes, thank you, God, for bringing all that stuff that I have to deal with, and I don't know yet how I'm going to deal with this, and to, manage them. And at the end of the day, because you actually can impact these things directly, then you can say, okay, I'm very happy with my day because I actually progress all these kind of things. Right?
You also have to accept the fact that for every problem you get rid of, you're going to get 2 or 3 new ones the next day.
Exactly.
That's the deal of a growing business, right?
That's the thing I discovered as well, is, when I go to sleep in the evening, I say, wow, I still have all these kind of things, and I say, okay, in the morning, I'm going to wake up with all these problems behind, but actually, no, I'm waking up and say, okay, what are the new problems that this day is going to bring me, right?
Yep.
So.
But that's a sign of a growing company. If you don't have new problems showing up, then your company is probably not making the big moves that it should.
Absolutely. It's about climbing hills, and when you climb one hill, you say, okay, what is the next hill? I think you are going to climb, right? And that's what's happening.
I guess that's the essence of entrepreneurship. It's problem solving.
Yeah.
Yep.
And try to do it in a way it benefits. I mean, take something that someone considered a waste and transform it into something valuable.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say
and
that's
do
the
things
essence
with
of
pleasure
entrepreneurship.
and positive energy, and and say, oh no, this new thing is coming. No, you're great. Okay, problem. Let's see.
How do
what's
you
going
guys
to
celebrate?
come out of it.
Yeah. So let's see. We like to go out when we do some really good accomplishments, for sure.
Yeah.
And then also I don't know. We make sure that we have fun. So if we worked hard on something and it was really good, we'll take the time to make sure we have a lot of fun, whether that be
Playing video games?
yeah, a lot of playing games, a lot of Overwatch and playing other games. It was awesome whenever I went to the IGDB office for the first time. They have just this huge screen, this one room that you just play games in. I thought that was really interesting that they use that to celebrate.
Yeah, we even built our own arcade.
Yeah, which was really cool. Yeah, and then when things kind of go bad, or you get a lot of problems or stuff, I think most of the time it's just sticking to the vision, just following that path. So for us, we want to be the single source of truth in this space. That's the goal, and that's what everyone is getting up out of bed thinking about that at the company. It's everyone's rallied around that idea. And I think that helps us get through a lot of rough times, or when things don't work as expected, or things may be slower as expected. It's a lot of gut feeling. Of course, we look at metrics and stuff too, but it's a lot of gut and following that vision that gets us through those times.
But I would say one thing that's very characteristic for our team. First of all, we're a very small team. We're 9 people, and and many different types of personalities in our team. But we have one thing in common, and that is we are all crazy passionate about gaming. And that kind of unites us and drives us. It's this passion to actually have, be allowed to work with gaming that drives us. And that, that will motivate you through the hard times. Because, startupping is like this.
Yeah.
Mine was wine.
Exactly.
Mine.
Yeah. Not as deep as you guys.
Yeah.
Also good.
So, one thing we try to do is always to remind us, that we are that we're in the gaming industry. So, for instance, every year the entire company goes to Gamescom, and for us it's about we do business during daytime and then just have a lot of fun during nighttime and hang out in that environment and and be reminded this is the industry we're working in. We're working in the most successful entertainment industry in the world right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And get reminded about that, and that will push you through the hard times as well.
You talk about having to tackle problems as being like that's the entrepreneurship spirit. So is there like a funny or really hard problem that almost stopped either your companies and you had to fight through it, and it could be funny or challenging? Is there something that happened where like you felt really proud or humored that you got through it?
I think all startups has a near-death experience, right? Where like, whoa, that could have gone really bad. I don't know how much. No, I'm kidding. You start. You can start.
I want to go back on the celebration issue because this is so important. I think we don't celebrate enough actually in startup. I think it's something that we're really in the problem solving and execution and these kind of things. So I just wanted to emphasize that. I think for all the people that are listening to us, I think celebrating success is very important, and we don't do it enough. And it does not have to be a big thing, right? I think that I remember that with my previous employee, I was actually a young engineer fighting to get one patent, okay, and making sure that this patent was, accepted as essential to some process. I'm not going to go into the details, but basically we won this, and we actually bring to the company about tens of millions of revenue, okay, big things. And the guy who was the manager said, okay, Olivier, that's great, what you did. Let's go and have an ice cream, okay? Okay, so tens of millions of revenue, and we got a nice ice cream. That was great, right? And so it does not have to be big, okay? So we do this as well, with small things. So for example, we were in Mobile World Congress, have an extremely good week of work. So went in a nice restaurant, have, some jamon iberico, cheese, and all this kind of good thing. And it was a fun moment, right? So we can have these kind of things.
Yeah.
So, and as a corporate also, we try to have this more, as you have this more corporate event where we bring everybody together and have fun, right?
But it's right. It doesn't need to be so
exactly.
ambitious. It can be like drinking champagne in coffee cups.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Or,
Exactly. So, but it is important, and I think we have to do that. And then I don't remember what was your previous question.
Also, the one after that is, there's you should also celebrate like, hey, we got through one of these really hard times and we turned the company around, or we got through this hurdle. So is there like a funny?
We do one thing usually because as a startup, we kind of live in 18-month intervals.
Yeah.
So usually when it's about 2 months left, we start a death countdown. Like we have a tombstone and we're like IGB, rest in peace, and then we start counting down the days until basically we need to secure more money. And that, of course, we do it. For it's a bit serious, but also people realize that we need. You will never see the IGB team as efficient as you will see then, because then everyone.
No, absolutely. Yeah. That's also, I think it's a power of being transparent and also giving the true state of the company to the people, because first they understand, and then they appreciate the fact that you are bluntly honest on where we are and what has to be done to go to the next step. So I think that's things also we regularly do, right? I think we.
And then you celebrate like crazy when you secure that next 18 months.
Absolutely. Definitely.
How about your AWS architecture? Where are you today? How has it evolved over time? Where did you start? All those kind of things.
Why AWS?
Yeah, why AWS?
So for us, it was a simple choice. Okay, when we started the company back in 2016, Amazon was really leading the cloud ecosystem and the GPU in the cloud. So if we're looking at an architecture that would bring us scale, global reach, security at a cost that we could master, it was the only solution. Okay, so I think it was kind of no-brainer. And actually, it was a very efficient solution. When we started, there was no GPU everywhere in all of the region of the world in Amazon. Actually, we started with Ireland, and I think it was one of the first places where we have GPU. And I think we were again lucky because the GPU was expanded because of the rise of artificial intelligence, and we can piggyback on all this kind of fashion of GPU in the cloud. And now we have basically GPU all over the places. Right, in most places. So it was kind of a very natural choice.
I guess for us, I mean, we took a strategic decision to start migrating all of our infrastructure to AWS. I mean, we're a company slowly leaving adolescence, and that means we have a very messy tech stack. You know, we have hosting all over the place. But of course, we want to centralize all infrastructure. And then, you know, AWS has everything we need and could ever hope to need.
When did that migration take place?
So that started actually this year. I mean, we've always used S3 from day one to host, you know, to store our images and so on. But now we're, you know, actually, so all new stuff we're building.
It's all AWS.
All
So
AWS.
what are you using? Like anything
so-
modern or new?
Yes,
serverless.
So so we use
Serverless.
Lambdas,
My favorite.
CloudWatch.
What are some functions
SQS.
you're doing with Lambda?
So one thing why serverless is so important because for us is that we want to, you know, minimize headcount. I mean, we want to have as slim team as possible, and we don't really want if we can eliminate the need for DevOps right now.
Yep.
Perfect. So and also, you know how devs are, right? They love to working with bleeding edge, you know, newest, and so they're really motivated to inspired to work with serverless. So.
Me too.
And the suite's so big, like you can go as deep as you want, right? You can go crazy, essentially. Everything's there for you that you could possibly need, which is great.
Yeah, we've actually heard that companies that use AWS or startups, it's easier to hire because it's familiar territory we're going into. There's more people experienced in it, and you want to be playing with these services.
Yeah, and there's lots of like great training that AWS has and certifications and stuff like that you know, convert over. If you're looking for a new job, you want to find someone who's using the same stuff that you were using before, that you're certified in. Yeah, it's great. Really helps with hiring for sure.
Yeah.
How about machine learning? Is anyone taking advantage of that today? Early stages, I think you talked about creating a recommendation engine.
For the moment, we mostly use, you know, the compute and storage and scalable part of AWS, and that is really, you know, the core plumbing, and this is really helping us a lot. Again, I think not doing this would have, you know, lead us to same issue as OnLive or building, you know, on Apex, CapEx model, you know, a big amount of software, so not very efficient. So that's what we do use, and definitely we are looking on all the other tools. Recommendation engine is one, also the capacity to put, you know, players together when make competition and all this kind of thing that you have. So I think that's the kind of thing that we are exploring right now, definitely.
Can either of you talk a little bit about, you know, some of the people from AWS you work with in Europe? Like, you know, we have a gaming team dedicated to startups there.
Yeah.
One of them's in the room here. Talk about kind of like, because beyond services, there's a lot more that AWS helps with startups, and it's great for startups to hear, you know, what's out there.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, we have the great Angela Kuzmuk as our. She was our entry to the whole AWS. Actually, she introduced us, and you know that it's so great. I mean, we've visited AWS in Stockholm, and we had a session with one of the cloud architects, which really helped us.
Yeah,
you know,
validate our solution. Yeah.
So that can, but of course also, I mean, all the things you get like business support and yeah, it's great because now we can have a minimum headcount and still do a lot.
Yeah.
It's like muscles. We get extra muscles.
Yeah.
Plus, I will give her a shout out that she's also a competitive Counter-Strike player, so she knows the gaming industry very well in terms of like.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Used to be. Retired. Undefeated.
Formally.
It's kind of funny on our side because one of the guys that actually lead us in AWS is Cheyenne, and is a former colleague of Amdocs, the company that acquired my former company. So I think that we moved to Amazon. So that was kind of funny, and he was instrumental in actually helping us in the growth of the company. So first in leading us in the use of AWS tools, right? So that was very important. Getting also the engineers to support us to optimize, you know, all the cost function and everything. I think we also entered the program that gave us, and we have to say it, a large amount of credits, okay? And this was also very important in our growth because when we started the company, we didn't have any vision on the structure of the P&L, how long people are going to play, what are going to be the costs. Sure. So we have to make a lot of tests on that, okay? And the fact that we have this program and all the support, you know, from Amazon to support the optimization of the service allow us to fine-tune, you know, the service service had no impact virtually on our finance. So that was instrumental to get us where we are in terms of service. And last but not least, I think it's not only about AWS, it's also about the ecosystem. Okay, so Shane makes introduction to the Fire TV team, and currently the BlackNut service is available on more than 10 million devices across the world on Fire TV. So we are the one cloud gaming service on Fire TV, and Fire TV is bringing us about 60% of our subscription. So in UK, France, Germany, and we're about to launch in the US. So it's not just about plumbing and infrastructure. It's also about the ecosystem that sits around AWS, and that's great. That's really cool.
So there's Chuck, who is also the fan of the TI-99s. First of all, he says, very interesting takes from different parts of gaming industry. Are there challenges or advantages with startups in the EU as opposed to the US? Is there advantage of building there versus here? And can you talk a little about how those ecosystems
Would you
change?
know them?
I
started
guess.
building?
I guess we're starting to, gain more and more insights about the differences, especially now.
Yeah.
One benefit of being in Europe, I guess, is that we have half the salaries. The salary cost is like half for
definitely.
engineers.
We have great engineers.
Yeah.
In terms of cost, at very competitive costs, right?
Absolutely.
Much better healthcare.
Yeah. As well. I think.
That's a great
helps.
benefit.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, like I was at a startup before this in the States, and what I've noticed mainly is like the biggest difference is just like how we work, essentially, and I think that is like a big difference. Like I feel like in the States it's really easy to be like super competitive and always work from
As a company.
yeah, and like always work basically like nonstop and never take that time to like have fun. And I've noticed like a lot of burnout happens, at least, in people that I know in the startup scene here in the States. The thing I noticed about like IGDB was like it is structured in a way to prevent that from happening. So I think like, and that I feel like is part of the culture, just like, I think that's part of the culture of Europe just in general, right? And so like that helps a lot, I think.
Structured how? Like, can you tell us some details?
Yeah, like, I don't know.
We're extremely flat.
Yeah, extremely.
Yeah, I like it's our organization scheme is like me and everyone else above. So I'll do a lot of coffee and you make the decisions. No, but I think one culture I guess is a bit different.
Yeah.
It's a lot more responsibility on each individual.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more like hands off. Like I know like that people try to do that. It's a lot less like stressful because of that. I don't know, like just more understanding, I would say, just in general. I think that's probably like a culture thing, or like, oh, I have to take care of this thing. Okay, yeah, family comes first, And I think we try to do that in the States, but it's hard sometimes. It can be hard.
I think that from internal structure, startups are probably similar beasts, in Europe or in the US because they function the same way. But in terms of ecosystem, it's quite different, in the US and in Europe. In US, we have a great ecosystem, in particular in the Silicon Valley, that I think all the region of the world are trying to mimic, and Europe is actually trying to mimic this. Access to funding, access to resources, access to advisor, access to distribution. I think it's great ecosystem. Europe is trying to build this, and I think it's still behind. France was actually a very nice place to create a startup, and is still a very nice place to build a startup. I think you have access to early funding. I think the French government is doing great initiative in this aspect. So I think we have this ecosystem, but still it's still too prudent probably when it gets to growth. So I think to me, if you want to reach something at a global scale at some point in time, you have also to approach the US market, which is basically what we are doing, and what we're doing for our Series A.
What would you say is like the biggest challenge you guys face today? So like even talking about the difference between the US and Europe and culture, what is your biggest challenge today, and how does where you are affect that?
So I think I can start. I think very modestly, we were very good at actually building an infrastructure, streaming infrastructure, building a catalog, building a distribution for this catalog, and accessing to market and getting the first metrics. And I think I'm very happy about what we did here. But now I'm really looking at the biggest challenge coming ahead and what's going to happen in this game. And if you look at Netflix or Spotify and the like, in the 3 to 5 years from now, it's going to be a content play, right? And I think my next challenge is actually to bring big content owners as part of our ecosystem and the ecosystem we are building, so that they can feel their own. And so we are actually onboarding, this kind of partners, and that I think is going to be the next big things.
I mean, yeah, we have, we always have a lot of challenges. But I think one major challenge we constantly face is, how to increase the team capacity and, attract talent without, affecting runway or, too much. It's always a balance. I usually work with a model, like, as a startup CEO, I work with basically 4 factors. I work with product, market, team, and financials. And, we all heard about product market fit. But all of these things need to fit. You need to have a product team fit. If you're going to build a product, you need to have the team to be able to build a product. Or you need to have a team financial fit. I mean, we can't just hire 20 people.
Yeah, it's got to make sense, right?
Yeah.
So how much of it do you learn on the fly versus research or look towards what other companies are doing? Like, how do you stay on top of your CEOing abilities or skills? Of course, looking at competitors is you always do that.
Yeah.
That's free product development, where you can just cherry pick the good stuff and leave out the bad stuff. Of course,
they spend all the money researching, testing, and failing, and now you just take the end product of it.
Exactly, you do that. Everyone does.
Yep.
We also have an advisor.
Yeah, of course, and then you try to make sure.
Yeah.
You have 2 teams.
helpful.
You have the operational team, which is the core team working day to day, but you also need to make sure you have a good strategic team, like the board, advisors, industry specialists, to guide you through this phase.
Yeah.
How do you stay on top of the industry itself, like gaming? Like, what do you guys read? What blogs?
You
what
attend
news?
GDC.
Yeah, for sure.
Conferences?
You attend-
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
The ecosystem is essential. Okay, I think the ecosystem is essential, and yes, competition, but more globally, when there is some issue we have, I think my first action is to get to my network, okay, and is to talk to people and not try to sit in my room and to say, okay, I need to find a solution for this. Solution is outside. It's about talking to people, to the partners, okay, and I think that's great. Some people may say, okay, yeah, I've seen this, or you can talk to this guy and so on, and at the end of the day, I think you find some solution, or you find some good hints when you want to achieve something. So definitely, to me, it's the network, access to your network, and talk to your network, to your people. When you have a problem, you should actually even broadcast it, and then the solution come back. Okay, I think it's maybe it looks crazy, but I think it works.
Yeah.
So.
For us, just to keep track of things, like Discord has been really helpful. Like, we have a pretty strong community there where a lot of chatter happens, so it's good to stay on top of things that way. And then I personally like to use a combination of Reddit plus some other sources as well, like Engadget and stuff like that, to because then you get kind of a full picture. You get I would say the day-to-day normal person, right, and the news there, and then you get other stuff from the more corporate places, and then with Discord we get more community as well. So that I use that a lot. Those 3 things, just always staying up to date. And the thing is, I feel very fortunate because I would be doing that anyway. If I worked at another company that was in the gaming space, I would be doing that exact same thing, except I wouldn't be getting paid for it, essentially. And here, I was able to combine my passion and what I like to do for fun with work, and it made sense. So it's it's really awesome to be oh yeah, I'm checking my news today, which is what I would do normally, but it wouldn't really benefit me much in my previous job. So
It's interesting how every customer voice really does matter, how big or small.
Oh yes, absolutely.
We have an office in Seattle for Amazon called Low Flying Hawk, And back in the early days of AWS, every time we released something, we go on the message board because Low Flying Hawk was very critical about what the service was and how it could be improved. And we kept taking their feedback. Every time we'd publish something, that's the first place we would go.
Now there's a building named after him.
Well, one day somebody went to go, well, how much are they actually spending on AWS? And they looked, and it was like $2 a month.
Yeah.
But their opinion mattered, and so now they're honored in like a building that's there, and
That's
it's
awesome.
Absolutely. Like we have in our Discord, like we have a huge, like we have a free tier of our API essentially, and those users like go in there for help and feedback and different things, and like some of them pay nothing, but we help them no matter what. Like, and our community helps them, and it's important to us because like they may not pay something, but they may talk to someone who gets an API key and they'll pay something, you know, and like that's good enough for us. Like we just want to help the industry. Like,
Yeah,
as a
word of
whole.
mouth is always like very important.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like that has been super critical to us this year already. It's been amazing. Yeah.
So I'm curious, what are like the top 3 games that are like that you guys are saying are the top 3 games right now to play? Like, what should I go out and buy?
Man, well for you
Whoa.
specifically,
That depends
Yeah.
on what kind of gamer you are.
Yeah.
What kind of gamer are you?
I like story games.
Story
so
games.
like Jack and Daxter.
Yeah.
Or like
Platform?
Zelda.
Yeah.
Like the ones where you like unlock a level and then it tells you more of the story and then you have to keep.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same kind of gamer, by the
Oh,
way.
really?
Yeah. Like open world, story heavy RPGs.
It's kind of like reading a book when you're playing because
Yeah.
it's like you're like unlocking it.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey is really popular.
Wait, what was it called?
Assassin's Creed, the new one.
Ubisoft,
Creed Odyssey.
yeah.
Yeah, Ubisoft. Yeah.
Yeah,
that
that's
game
an
is-
amazing game.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like really popular. Of course, like Witcher 3 is like, I mean, it's an older game, but it's like extremely popular for that, you know, that like huge story and exploring and
Some
stuff.
more recent games.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Anthem came out, you know, and it made a splash. So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
It just depends.
It's interesting when a new game comes out. I look on Reddit, and there's a lot of people who start trash talking the game, like it's released too early. Then you have other people who said, "I'm taking the game for what it is, and I'm enjoying it." So,
Yeah.
you know, like, and it's this weird dichotomy between people who are like hating it and loving it. Like, let me just enjoy a game for what it is.
Yeah.
And
A game is very fragmented, you know, as you say, it's, you know, what kind of game you like, and if you ask this question to people, you will have, you know, 10 different answers. And I
Yeah,
think
like
it's,
my answer was maybe not the answer of everybody.
For sure.
Exactly, and even some people deny playing game, even they do actually. By the way, so I think it's kind of weird, you know, the relation that people have to gaming, right? So I think it's kind of funny. There is one game we have on Black Nut. It's named Tiny Echo. It's a game,
Tiny
Echo. It's very nice. It's like you know, the Studio Ghibli, you know, kind of atmosphere. You can actually walk and you just have to post letters, right? But I really like the environment. So it's, as you mentioned, a love and hate relation. Some people love it. It's a great atmosphere, great universe. You have nothing to do. You can just walk around and do stuff. And some people say, I really hate it. There is nothing to do in this game. It's boring, you know? So I think it really depends on your psychological profile. I think it's like books. I think it's not everybody
it's
likes
like
the same
books.
books or like movies or these kind of things. And this is where, you know, game is taking now this really, we are in the moment of history where game is really becoming a major entertainment, you know, things. And has, you know, is a similar kind of differentiation like movies and music and all these kind of things, right?
So on your site, do you guys organize like the top 10 games per like the gamer profile? Like if I was to go on the site, obviously I like story games. I don't know if there's like an official name for them, but where would I go to like see my top 10 games or top 3 or whatever it is?
So right now, we have a couple of, you know, static top lists for each and every genre, but we're actually redesigning IGDB entirely with much more emphasis on, for instance, user recommendations.
Got it.
Because we have very specific user types using our, you know, we have people who
Like
love doing
profiles.
Yeah, we have people who love doing lists, like these games I own on PS4, these games I want to play on, you know, PC. And their recommendation becomes a really critical part. So because we also want to work with the discoverability issue and help people explore and find new games, because everyone is always aware about the big AAA games.
Yep.
But there are so many games being released every day, and good games that, you know, have a hard time breaking through the static, the noise of, you know.
Because there's so much out there.
So much
Absolutely.
out there.
Yeah. And that's why we really need to have a conversation, right? I think
Yeah.
it's so exciting. I think what you mentioned is, if I'm playing in front of my TV with my kid, maybe I want to play a co-op game because actually it's not too much in competition sometimes. If I'm alone on my PC, I may want to play these games, and if I'm on the go on my mobile, I want to play different kind of games. So I think it also depends on the devices. So all these things about recommendation and helping people to discover the next game they want to play is critical and it's very important. And also we need to break the current categories of MMO, RPG, PUBG. These do not talk to people. Okay, they want to understand what they can do with games or how long the game will last, or if I have 5 minutes, what kind of game can I use? These kind of things.
Yeah.
So different kind of
definitely is more
profiling, different kind of recommendation, easy to find games. That's the kind of things we aim to do.
Another trend we're seeing, by the way, is the rise of the gamer moms and gamer dads.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, the like me, for instance. I've been a gamer my entire life, and now I have kids.
Yeah.
And for me, of course, I want to play games with my kids,
you're
right?
in my target audience.
Yeah, but you want to find
Absolutely.
good games.
Exactly.
Do you think with the increase in the number of games, people who are playing these are now, they're aware of what types of controls or graphics or sounds out there, so they're becoming more selective, and they may like the graphics and video of one game, but they're like, I've seen this controller, the controls of this game isn't as good as this other game, so if I had it, it would be a 5-star game for me. So they're becoming more picky about what games they're enjoying, or?
I'm not sure about the graphics part of it because you can have really a lot of fun.
Absolutely,
with very
I love
simple
8-bit games.
So I think it's more about the gameplay and how much fun you have in a game, right? Then the controller is still an issue, definitely. I think if you talk to the general public, I think the gamepad with actually so many buttons and so many controls is probably too complex for most of the people. And this is where Nintendo was very successful, with a simple controller, very intuitive.
Yeah.
There was not so much innovation in this, in the recent year. And probably, we need to come up with something in this area. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good question because there's so many different types of gamers. I mean, of course, you have the PC master race people, right? They of course they will love higher resolution graphics, but then you also have people that don't really care about that. They care more about story or the music or the characters, the protagonists.
Setting.
Or all of the above.
Or all of
for
the
sure.
above, right? But and there's so much there's an increase in frequency when it comes to really niche type of games.
Sure.
And they have their defined target audience, and it's not it goes outside mainstream, and they're doing great.
And the screen where you access the game from is also makes it also different. I think we've seen that if you are playing on your TV. Okay, you don't want to actually go in the cupboard, find the gamepad, connect the gamepad with Bluetooth and this kind of thing, all this kind of mess. Right? You want to sit in your couch.
Just needs
and
to work.
yeah, exactly. And we design, on the catalog, we have probably 30 to 60 games that are playable just with the remote. Okay, so you can just play, with left, right, up, down, push, and you can access great games. Great games have been designed just with this kind of a simple controller, and everybody can enjoy it, even my grandma.
So we talked about how every single gamer is different. What is your favorite game of all time?
Of all time.
I know that's
One,
a really
just
hard
one question.
Yeah, you have to pick one.
Yeah.
Just one?
Yep.
Oh my God. I'm gonna go for Fallout 2.
Yeah.
What was it?
Fallout 2. It's a kind of an old game, but back then it was kind of
It's like a better version of Fallout 76.
Yeah.
like isometric, turn-based.
I can really not pick one.
No,
of
it's
them.
hard. It's so
it's
tough.
very hard because I think it's also, for example,
What's the one you find yourself playing the most?
Well, to be frank, I enjoyed really playing all the Mario games with my kid because it was not designed to be playable with 2 people. And I was actually holding the nunchuk and he was holding the other gamepad. He was very young, and we spent a lot of good time actually on this game. So I think it was a great game for us because we enjoyed playing together on something that was not designed for it, actually, right? So I think it's hard to say what is the greatest game. So I can tell you, okay, this is a more innovative, whatever. But actually, the one I had, the more fun was when my kid was young and we played together on this game. So
Halo 2.
And that's important, you know, the thing is also, it's about emotion as well. You know, all the emotion, I think games, contrary to movies, are basically things where you actually, you put your time, you put your energy, you put your emotion.
You
so
have
it resonates,
games
right?
that you associate with really
Yeah.
strong emotions and experience. Like, of course, you know, Final
Exactly.
Fantasy VII is a classic, right? And yeah, so it's tough to say just one.
The last user question is, what about, I lost
Do any
it.
of the guests use AWS Game Lift?
Oh, not that one. I was wondering about any thoughts on the new types of gaming experiences, VR, AR, voice games on Alexa. Any thoughts around that space?
So I mean, there's a lot of room for growth. It's not quite there yet. I saw, like, you know, PlayStation really tried to make it mainstream, and of course you have Oculus and Vive. And there are some good games coming out, but the tech just like is not quite there yet, I don't think, to have a great experience. AR is really interesting. I think there's, I think it has a lot more room to grow.
I mean, Pokemon Go
AR.
is like...
Yeah, but this
huge.
is only AR game that you know, right? I think it's that everybody's
everyone
playing.
knows.
Yeah, everybody knows. But that's it. I think, and same for VR. I think we've been talking VR for the last 5 years or even more. I think some of the tech is here, but actually it's not simple enough to be general public. Okay, and I don't see myself putting a headset and
and it's like a chicken egg problem essentially. Like you come out with some cool tech, but if you don't have anyone using it, and the developer doesn't want to like make a game for something that only like a couple people will buy versus, if I put it out on PlayStation or Xbox, or PC like a lot of people.
So we only have like a couple minutes left. So what final thoughts do you want to leave with the audience? And then also, are you guys hiring? And if so, name your stack and where they should go, and I will type it in as you're talking.
Okay, we can start. Yes, we're hiring. Yes.
You can work anywhere. You can work from anywhere.
No, but we're very open for remote teams. Right now, we're looking for a front-end developer working in React.
Yep.
Okay.
Node, and you can go to igb.workable.com.
.workable.
I mean, I have good profiles for you, by the way.
Oh.
If you look to hire in France.
We're the good thing being in Europe, by the way, is like
All right, well, that job's now filled. So
Sorry, what was the other question?
Oh, the stack.
Final thoughts you want to leave with the audience about game tech, starting a company, your favorite video games, anything. Just
You know what? If you want to do it, just do it. Just throw yourself in there, and especially IGB has always been a story about building the ship while you sail it.
Yeah.
And
fly the plane while you build it.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, whenever I first saw their job posting, they wanted you to be in Sweden. That was like one of the requirements, essentially.
Yeah.
And I wrote just like this long letter.
Yeah, still remember that letter, man.
And that was my leap of faith, and I'm so glad I took that.
Yeah.
So glad.
Leap of faith.
Yeah.
Definitely, and we are hiring too, but mostly in the marketing area, to sustain the growth and the expansion of the service now in outside Europe. So I think this is where we actually find people. I think you make it so simple to use the technology, so I think we are done on that. I mean, more seriously, I think we have a great team already with front end, back end, and all this kind of thing, which is pretty impressive in what it delivers with a couple of people. So yeah, everything now is about growth, about reach, and growing the service. So this is where we are looking for people.
Okay, so what is the link that they can go to if they're interested in the marketing?
They just can go on the Blacknet website, or they can just drop me a mail.
Blacknet.com?
Yeah, blacknet.com.
All right, awesome. And any final thoughts that you want to leave with our viewers?
There was one thing that is always interesting is, I think it was one of the questions you sent us about what would be the advice you make to your former self and this kind of things. And I like this question. I want to answer it even if you have not asked it. And I think one of the things is really to listen to your guts when making decisions. Right. Sometimes you want to force things. You want to force a reality because you want to make things happen as a CEO, and somehow you go too fast. Okay, which looks at it. So listen to your gut feeling. I mean, and when making this kind of decision, it will avoid you a couple of mistakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's really great advice.
And I totally agree.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you, all of you, for
you.
joining
Thank
us.
you for having us.
Thank you so much.
And for all the guests on the channel, next week we're specializing on machine learning.
Yep, and just to wrap up, it was Tyler and Christian from IGDB and Olivier from BlackNet.
And Nikki and Mackenzie.
Nikki and Mackenzie.
Right.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. Have a great week at GDC if you're attending.
Yep.
Bye.
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 Bye.